Welcome to Right Fit Leader, a podcast from Alec Broadfoot and the Hire with Confidence team at VisionSpark. This is where visionaries, entrepreneurs, and leaders learn how to hire leaders, lead better, and build teams that last. Through expert insights, real client stories, and conversations with top leaders, you will hear how we find A players for your business. This is Right Fit Leader.
Well, welcome, Jen.
Thanks, Alec.
We're here at the EOS Conference with Jen Zick, owner of Authentic Brands. So for everyone, tell us what Authentic Brands, what do you guys do?
Yeah, so Authentic is a fractional chief marketing officer firm. We're based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but we have CMOs and clients all across the country. And what we do is work with growing businesses to help them overcome random acts of marketing and confidently take the next right step toward healthy growth by bringing them a senior executive leader in that marketing seat on a part-time flexible basis.
Yeah, I love how you say random acts of marketing because you address the pain points of every entrepreneurial company out there, right? We're all known for random acts of marketing.
Yeah, and I like to tell people that's nothing to be ashamed of because it's a natural phase of business growth. It's like the puberty of business. You can't get to the other side without going through random acts of marketing. So if you're experiencing that just means you're on your way to becoming more strategic after you've experienced enough pain.
I love it. So at VisionSpark, we're seeing a trend where we're being asked to help companies find and hire great marketing leaders and sales leaders now. And it seems to have hit maybe last Q4 of last year. We're seeing this trend. Are you seeing a trend where companies are investing more in marketing?
Yeah, actually, our pipeline started to show significant growth and momentum in Q4 of last year as well. And I think there are a few things at play with that. First of all, the last couple of years have been economically disruptive and unpredictable. So for a couple of years, we saw a rather slower moving decision-making cycle among executives when it came to investing in growth and growth leadership roles because there was a lot of uncertainty. That's been a really common word in the last several years. And even though the world continues to feel really uncertain and big global things are happening on a constant whack-a-mole basis, I think leaders are tired of waiting for something to be predictable and sure, and they know they need to keep investing in growth. So that's a really positive trend line we're seeing. The other thing is that there's a lot of change happening with AI and what leaders need to bring to the table to equip today's and tomorrow's teams. And so now what's needed from a leader is different than what was needed even 6 months ago. We can't, as executive leaders, rest on 20, 25, 30 years of experience to guide our teams forward. We have to be pressing into continual learning, and that's why as people are shifting seats, they're looking for lifelong learner leaders, people who are all still at the front of it, not just trailing with what worked in the past.
Right, yeah, and we're seeing that too with our clients. A lot of leaders on teams right now have really become leaders because of their experience and what they've learned, but now they have to pivot and everything's changing so quickly, and some of those leaders are struggling because they just don't have the strategic thinking and critical thinking skills, and they're still looking at their past to help make future decisions where you really can't.
Yes, and frankly, some people have reached the point where they don't want to put in the energy to learn a lot of new things. And so if you're at that point in your executive career where, being a self-guided, self-inspired, lifelong learner just doesn't feel like what you want to do anymore, then now would be a good time to retire and make space for other people who can really set the course for the future.
So I want to ask you about, just for those listening, if they're thinking about a fractional marketing leader, what are some of the things that they're feeling or experiencing, and then what would be some things that you do to help them and maybe a good testimonial of what your company has done for a client?
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll try to get this down to kind of some of the top categories because there are a lot of different needs that bring clients to our door, but they kind of fall into some general categories. So one category in random acts of marketing looks like, okay, we're an established business, and I should say that most of the clients Authentic works with are between 10 million to 250 million in revenue.
Okay.
So they're not brand new startups. These are businesses that have existed, they have critical mass, they might be a second or third generation family-owned business. They've been successful, but they're feeling the pain of spending money in marketing with agency partners on projects and even with internal hires, but not knowing if the dollars and time and resources they're investing are actually moving the needle toward meaningful growth. They don't know how to measure ROI, and they don't know what they should be spending toward what activities and what kinds of hires. So that frustration is what brings them to our door. Another category of businesses that come to Authentic are what I would call companies who have been stuck in little m marketing and really need to move to big M marketing. In terms of little m marketing, the easiest way for me to explain that, and there's much more detail on this on our website, but little m marketing looks like maybe marketing is reporting to the head of sales because there's one person in charge of sales and marketing, or maybe marketing is something that's been owned by the founder and visionary of the business because they know the brand so well, or maybe marketing is just existing outside the business with some agency partners that they hope are doing the right things. But in these situations, most of the time, marketing activities are all focused on brand demand and lead generation, like just get sales more at bats. And eventually the playbook for that, like we're seeing right now, is changing radically because traditional search marketing and paid media isn't delivering the same returns in the age of AI. And as a company grows, new client acquisition is always important, but retention and growth and client delivery excellence really matters too. It doesn't, if you're bringing in a lot of new leads, but you can't deliver excellence in those engagements, you're eroding your brand's trust and value. Yeah. So a lot of companies bring us in because they know marketing should be different than it is, but they don't know what that looks like. And we help them understand full life cycle marketing, how to take your brand experience from that first touch all the way through to creating raving fans and advocates. And then very briefly, kind of the third big reason we're brought to the table is because a business is preparing for some major transformation, either through future acquisitions and defining where they'll find that value and that right fit, or they've recently been acquired and they need to create more value in the business. So in either case, it's a value creation play, which is important for every business. And so some of the success stories at Authentic have looked like helping teams get clarity on defining the role of strategic marketing and the team that needs to be there, and the appropriate budget and the appropriate metrics to help them have the confidence to know what's working. And then several other clients that we work with, we've worked our way out of the job because after a couple of years, they've been acquired for, strong multiples that they wouldn't have seen without stronger focus on brand and experience and value. So it runs the gamut. That was a big question.
Yeah, that's a great answer to a big question. Yeah. So as the leader of Authentic, what keeps you up at night?
Well, right now, if I'm honest, it's much more about my family than my business. My business has plenty of its own issues and opportunities like any business does. Yeah. But I'm in this beautiful stage of life where I'm building a business and building a family and launching adult kids. And so I am excited for them. My daughter's engaged to be married. Oh, wow. There's so much on my heart and mind about being present for my family right now that I'm really trying to hold in balance, not letting the business overtake what's most important in my life. So I built Authentic from the beginning to be a place where we can love our lives and love our work in that order. And I committed that I don't want to raise a business faster than I can raise my family while being present. And so I'm really invested right now in making sure that operations are smooth and the team is healthy at Authentic so that I don't miss any important moments with my kids who are kind of coming in and out of the nest right now. Yeah. I love this moment in life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's, one of our perks as entrepreneurs is that freedom.
Yes.
And we can get the results we want and spend the time we want and also balance the family life as well. Yes. Yeah. So what are some opportunities at Authentic that you're excited about?
Yeah. Well, we have been leaning in on AI for several years, and my philosophy about it has always been rooted and grounded in authenticity and authenticity of human relationships, because no matter what you're selling, B2B or B2C, whether it's a high trust, big consultative engagement or a widget, ultimately your brand is selling trust, right? Trust at scale. And so I've always been a proponent of embracing technology innovation. I grew my career before starting Authentic in the Salesforce.com ecosystem. I was on the B2B services side of solution implementation and got to ride the wave of the first generation of cloud solutions and the innovation in that space. And I've always loved how technology allows us to solve problems in new and different ways. And that's what AI is right now. It's just moving faster and differently than any other wave of technology change. So our team has been embracing it, but we've been leading it from the basis of what we call authentic intelligence. Human-guided wisdom at the center of it. I really believe that these new technologies, they don't replace the need for the people who are part of your team. They elevate the ability for those people to work more wisely and more productively.
Yeah.
Right? But the other reality that most business owners and leaders are feeling right now is that AI is a promise that hasn't been fully realized yet. It's the promise of cost savings and productivity and the elevated human impact. But before we get to that promised land, we're walking through the muck and the mire right now of leading transformational change, a huge learning curve inside of our organizations, and deep investment in a number of new tools that we're all trying on to figure out where to place our bets. So right now it's getting more complicated and more expensive before it gets better and more efficient.
Yeah.
That is the curve of technology adaptation. So we're here for it, I'm excited about it, and we are leading our clients through it.
Yeah, that's great. And so I've not heard of other competitors that do fractional marketing. I'm sure you have competitors.
Yes.
So what are some of your strengths as a company?
Yeah. First of all, I'm delighted that we are the only firm you know in our marketplace, but no, there's definitely a lot of solutions that call themselves fractional CMO. 9 years ago when I started Authentic, I didn't even know the phrase fractional CMO, right? I just had this hypothesis of a business model that needed to exist for entrepreneurial companies. They needed the wisdom of experienced leadership to avoid those random acts of marketing, to save time, save money, and build stronger brands by having wisdom at their table. And I knew that most small businesses could not afford it on a full-time basis. So I thought, if I can bring together a community of wise, experienced leaders and then match them to clients with flexibility, that would be amazing. And I found the word fractional as I started to meet fractional CFOs who've been around for a long time.
They have been.
Yeah. And so I'm like, that's the word. And so 9 years ago, I thought I invented the category of fractional CMO. I nearly did. We were probably the second organization that labeled our services that way. And today, I joke, but kind of, it's true. Everybody and their cousin is calling themselves a fractional executive. So there are, since COVID and the boom of the gig economy, there are so many fractional titles out on LinkedIn and in the world.
Yeah.
Now what's hard is that even though the market has a lot of awareness about a fractional solution, buyers have a hard time discerning what makes a true fractional CMO. There are many people who might have just stepped out of a digital agency where they did content marketing and now they call themselves a fractional CMO, but they've never earned the C or the O, right? And it's a hard thing for buyers to discern. And so Authentic, our entire promise, what makes us unique, is that we have trusted, tested, true executives on our team. And the way we deliver through our three uniques is marketers, methodology, and mind share. So very uniquely, we're the only fractional CMO firm in the world that I know of that employs all of our CMOs on a W-2 basis. They're fully committed, exclusive employees of Authentic, very dedicated to the work that we're doing. They're not just picking up a gig in between jobs.
Yes.
And they're very connected to one another. They've joined Authentic because they believe in the collaboration of our community. Our methodology, which is called Authentic Growth, is a full marketing operating system that teaches businesses how to build the rigor and discipline in marketing that they've been lacking. And it's designed to be complementary to EOS and similar operating systems, so it bolts right in. And then our mind share is a really important part of how we work. All of our employee CMOs gather together 3 times a month for an active IDS that we call Mindshare. It's where we're learning and growing together. It's where we bring our ally network partners, those agency partners, in to teach us new emerging trends and techniques in marketing. And then we use Slack around the clock to help each other. There's so much peer sharing. So that's the real benefit. Our clients get the benefit of a dedicated true executive, but they're backed up by a team of dozens of other CMOs with diverse industry and business model experiences. So that unlocks all kinds of strategic capability for our clients.
Yeah, that's great. One of my favorite things is you call yourselves authentic brands, and that's one of my core values is authenticity. So I love that. And I've known you and you're very authentic, so that you resemble that really well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As are you. I think you and I hit it off right away because we have so much in common in our core values.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing that too we do a lot of work in the integrator space.
Yeah.
And we joke that it seems like every day someone wakes up and says they're going to be a fractional integrator.
It's true.
Yeah. And so I think it's a low barrier to entry. It's kind of like years ago, realtors were, everyone knows a realtor. But so we test the fractionals, and some of them I wouldn't put near my clients at all. Like they are not fractionals.
Yep.
They would not do a great job.
And thank goodness your clients can trust you to have that discernment, because this is what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Just like with us, this is what we do for a living. We know what makes a true executive. And I get to see the integrator realm up close, because for 6 years we've been hosting free monthly peer groups for integrators through our Lift Integrator community. So we have hundreds, thousands of integrator friends out in the world, and it really does run a wide gamut.
Yeah.
And so it's great. I have an integrator already, but if I were looking for an integrator, I would definitely be working with a firm like yours to help qualify the credentials of that role.
Yeah,
it's a big
absolutely.
role.
Yeah, they're very unique, even though they may have gone up the corporate ladder, but about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 actually have the ingredients, but it's really about 3% of the population that are really good at it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I just recommended a fractional to a client of mine in Texas, and he's really good. He was a candidate of ours, and he became a full-time integrator, transformed this company, and then he went out on his own, and now he's a fractional helping. And
he's
so
got the credentials to back it up.
Yeah, he does, and we know his scores, and he's very good at it. So
amazing.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to today?
Oh my goodness, Alec. Today is the biggest day of the year for Authentic, because every year at the EOS Conference for the last several years we have hosted our VIP kickoff party. VIP stands for Visionaries, Integrators, and our partners who are EOS implementers and other brands who are friends of Authentic and supporting us in hosting this event. So every year the event has grown, and this year tonight we'll be hosting about 350 of our favorite VIP friends. It's going to be epic. I won't have a voice tomorrow, so I'm glad we're talking now.
Yes.
I'm going to use all of it tonight.
Yeah. Well, I will be there.
I'm excited to have you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. It's great seeing you.
Thank you for including me.
Yeah.